Picture this. You're at the airport, excited for a trip you've been planning for months. You get to the security line, hand over your driver's license, and the TSA agent just gives you a flat no. Your ID is useless. Your flight leaves in an hour. Panic sets in. This isn't some far-off travel nightmare. It's a reality that's already blindsiding thousands of people. The way we travel is undergoing a massive, tech-driven revolution, and the changes for 2025 are rolling out right now. We're talking about a world where your face is your boarding pass, invisible scanners watch you from the ceiling, and a simple mistake on a mobile app could get you denied boarding. These aren't just tiny adjustments. They are fundamental overhauls to checking in, getting through security, and even stepping onto the plane. And honestly, most people have no idea what's about to hit them. In this video, I'm breaking down the 12 most critical updates you absolutely need to know before you book a single flight in 2025. And you'll want to stick around to the very end because some of these aren't just coming soon, they're already here. Alright, let's kick things off with the one that's causing the most chaos at domestic terminals right now: Real ID. For years, this was the deadline that kept getting pushed back. First because of implementation delays, then because of COVID. It felt like it was never actually going to happen. Well, guess what? The grace period is over, and TSA is enforcing it with zero wiggle room. I mean it. No exceptions, no sob stories, no sweet-talking your way through. Right now, thousands of travelers are getting stopped cold at TSA checkpoints because their old driver's license just doesn't cut it anymore. So, what do you need to look for? Pull out your wallet and check your license. Right now, you need to see a specific symbol, usually in the upper right corner. It's typically a gold star or sometimes a black star inside a gold circle. If your license doesn't have that star, for travel purposes, it's basically just a piece of plastic. It will not get you on a flight. Some states are lagging way behind on this. If you live in places like Oklahoma, New Jersey, or Oregon, you need to be especially careful. These states have had some of the lowest compliance rates, meaning a huge chunk of the population is walking around with IDs that won't be accepted at the airport. It's a logistical nightmare waiting to happen, and airport staff are already reporting that nearly half the people showing up still don't have compliant IDs. Think your regular license will work just because it hasn't expired? Think again. The whole point of Real ID is that it has enhanced security features that verify your identity against federal databases. To get one, you had to show up to the DMV with a folder full of paperwork: your birth certificate, your social security card, and at least 2 proofs of address. It's a much more rigorous process. Now, if you're panicking, there are backups. A valid US passport or a passport card works perfectly fine. Military IDs and other federal employee credentials also qualify. But if your only form of photo ID is a non-compliant driver's license, you're staying on the ground. TSA officers have reported a staggering 300% spike in denied entries from travelers who thought they could argue their way past security. Spoiler alert, you can't. This isn't a negotiation, it's a federal mandate. If you've been reading any travel blog in the last year, you've probably seen the headline, ETIAS launching in 2025. Well, I'm here to tell you, they're wrong. The European Travel Information and Authorization System, or ETIAS, keeps getting delayed and most websites have failed to update their information. The official 2025 target has been quietly pushed back once again. So what is this thing anyway? First off, ETIAS is not a visa. It's a pre-travel authorization system, much like the ESTA, that people need to visit the United States. It's designed to screen visitors from visa waiver countries before they arrive in Europe, adding a layer of security. You'll need it to enter any of the 27 countries in the Schengen zone, plus Bulgaria, Romania, and Cyprus. That's a total of 30 countries. The delay is due to some incredibly complex technical hurdles. Imagine trying to get the IT systems of 30 different countries, all with their own databases and security protocols, to seamlessly talk to each other. It's a monumental task, and the central system needed to make it all work just isn't ready. When it does launch, the application itself is supposed to be simple, about 10 minutes online. But here's the catch. While most people will get instant approval, it can take up to 96 hours if there are any red flags in your background check. If your application requires a manual review, it could take even longer. The fee is set at €7 for adults, but it's free for travelers under 18 or over 70. Once approved, your ETIAS is valid for 3 years, or until your passport expires. But here's what most travel sites aren't telling you about the application. You'll likely need to provide proof of your first accommodation, have a return ticket booked, and possibly even show proof of sufficient funds for your trip. This is more involved than just entering your name and passport number. So, what's the real launch date? All official sources are now pointing to the last quarter of 2026 for the system to start operations. That gives you a little more breathing room than you might have thought. But a word of warning: once a firm date is announced, you can bet that scam websites will pop up overnight, offering to help you with your application for an inflated fee. Always use the official ETIAS website when the time comes. Get ready, because this is already happening and it's probably happened to you without you even realizing it. Facial recognition scanners are now live at over 85 airports across the United States, and they are automatically scanning every single passenger who walks up to the TSA podium. Here's how it works. As you approach the TSA agent to show your ID and boarding pass, there's a small camera on the counter. It captures a high-resolution image of your face in seconds. That image is then compared against the photo on your ID in real time using biometric matching technology. The system is designed to spot fake IDs and confirm you are who you say you are, all in a fraction of a second. TSA claims that this new tech is more effective than the human eye and that they delete all facial recognition data within 24 hours. However, privacy advocates are raising serious questions about how that data is stored, who has access to it, and whether it's truly being deleted consistently across every single airport. The scanners are designed to be subtle. They look just like regular ID verification stations, so most people don't even notice the camera. They hand over their license, look up at the agent, and unknowingly consent to a facial scan. The agent gets a green light on their screen and waves you through. But here's the crucial part. You have the right to opt out. This is not mandatory. However, you have to be proactive. Before you hand over your ID, you need to clearly say, "I'd like to opt out of facial recognition." The TSA agent will then perform a manual check of your ID, just like they always used to. It might take an extra 30 seconds, but it protects your biometric privacy. You have every legal right to refuse, but you have to voice that choice before the scan happens. Once that camera flashes, it's too late. If you're a US traveler planning a trip to the United Kingdom, listen up. You now need a pre-authorization to enter the country, and this includes England, Scotland, Wales, and Northern Ireland. It's called the Electronic Travel Authorization, or ETA, and it launched without much fanfare. The result? Airlines are now denying boarding to travelers who don't have one. No exceptions, no last-minute fixes at the gate. If you don't have it, you're not getting on that plane to London. And here's the part that's tripping everyone up. This includes layovers. Let's say you're flying to mainland Europe and have a 90-minute connection at Heathrow. Even if you never plan to leave the airport, you still need an approved ETA. This makes short connections incredibly risky. If your authorization is still pending, you could miss your connecting flight. The application costs £16 and officially takes up to 72 hours for approval, though it can take longer during peak travel seasons. You apply online with your passport details, your travel itinerary, and you have to answer a series of security questions about your background. While most approvals come through in just a few hours, you cannot count on that. Airlines are integrated into this system, so they check your ETA status during the online check-in process, long before you even get to the airport. The biggest mistake people are making is assuming it's optional or waiting until the week of their trip to apply. Some travelers even think their global entry or other trusted traveler status will exempt them. Wrong on all counts. This is a separate system, and everyone needs it. The good news? Once you have it, your ETA is valid for 2 years and covers unlimited entries. So even if you only have a vague idea of a future UK trip, it's worth getting it now to avoid the stress later. Those processing times are not going to get any shorter. That sleek, high-tech suitcase with the built-in USB charging ports and GPS tracking might seem like the ultimate travel gadget, but it could also be the reason you get into a major argument at the check-in counter. Airlines are cracking down hard on smart luggage, and many travelers are getting their bags rejected because they violate strict FAA battery rules. Here's the problem. All those cool features, the phone chargers, the electronic locks, the location trackers, run on lithium-ion batteries, and the FAA is terrified of these batteries being in the cargo hold. If they are damaged, they can overheat and cause a fire mid-flight, and in a pressurized cargo bay, that would be catastrophic. Airlines like Delta, American, and United are now training their staff to spot these bags. During check-in, they'll ask you directly if your luggage has a battery. If it does, they'll ask the million-dollar question, is it removable? This is the detail that matters. If your smart luggage has a battery that you can easily pop out, you're in the clear. You can simply remove the battery pack and take it with you in your carry-on. But if the battery is non-removable, your bag is now subject to carry-on size restrictions only. You absolutely cannot check it. Imagine the nightmare. You've packed a large suitcase for a 2-week trip, you get to the airport, and you're told it can't be checked. Your only option is to either abandon the bag or try to frantically repack into a smaller carry-on you buy at an airport gift shop. Before you even pack, dig out the manual for your smart luggage. Figure out how to remove the battery, and make sure you have any necessary tools, like a small screwdriver, packed in an easily accessible pocket. Being able to pop that battery out in 30 seconds at the counter will save you a world of hurt. For years, the promise of Clear was simple: a fast, touchless, and hassle-free security experience. You use your eyes and your fingerprints, and you get to bypass the entire ID check. But members are now getting a surprise at security checkpoints. Agents are asking to see a physical ID even after the biometric scan. So what's going on? You're paying a premium subscription fee, currently $189 a year, specifically to avoid this step. Well, the TSA is rolling out a new dual-check system, especially during peak travel hours at major airports. They're essentially spot-checking Clear's biometric system to ensure the matches are accurate. While the facial and fingerprint scans are incredibly reliable, things like poor lighting, system glitches, or even just a bad scan can sometimes create false positives or negatives. Rather than hold up the entire expedited line to troubleshoot a biometric error, the agent's new protocol is to simply ask for a backup ID to keep things moving. You'll run into this most often at the country's busiest airports. Think Atlanta, LAX, Denver, and Chicago O'Hare, especially during the morning and evening rush. Friday afternoons and Sunday nights are prime time for these random ID requests. The system also seems to flag certain travelers for this additional verification, based on a set of factors that the TSA won't fully disclose. So, is it frustrating? Absolutely. You're paying for a shortcut that isn't always a shortcut. But is Clear still faster than the regular security lines? Yes. A typical Clear experience, even with the occasional ID check, might take about 90 seconds. The standard line can easily be 15 to 30 minutes, or much longer. The key takeaway is that those glorious days of breezing through security while your wallet stays tucked away in your carry-on bag are officially over. Always have your real ID ready to go. While some new rules add hassle, this next one is all about speed. At select airports, you can now check your luggage using nothing but your face. You just walk up to a self-service kiosk, look at a camera, and you're done in about 30 seconds. No fumbling for your phone, no scanning a boarding pass. The biometric system instantly matches your live photo to the passport or ID image on file, pulls up your flight details, prints your bag tags, and sends you on your way. But there's a step most people miss that prevents them from using this cool new feature. You have to opt in to biometric processing during online or mobile check-in. The system can't legally use your biometric data without your explicit consent. If you skip this step or just click no on the pop-up, you'll get to the airport and wonder why those fancy new kiosks won't work for you, forcing you back into the long, traditional check-in lines. Delta is leading the charge with this at major hubs like Atlanta, JFK, and LAX. United has it running at Newark, Chicago, and Denver, and American is rolling it out at Phoenix and Miami. When it works, it's like magic. You look at the camera, confirm your flight on the screen, attach the freshly printed tags to your bags, and drop them on the belt. It's incredibly efficient, What happens if it doesn't recognize you? Maybe the lighting is bad, or you're wearing a new pair of glasses. The kiosk will simply time out and redirect you to a human agent, who will have your boarding pass ready to go. So, if you want to save a ton of time at the airport and skip the check-in lines, make sure to look for that biometric consent option when you check in online. This next one sounds like something out of a spy movie, but it is 100% real and operating at major airports right now. You are being scanned for explosives every time you walk through airport security, and you have absolutely no idea it's happening. TSA has been quietly installing advanced, ceiling-mounted sensors that literally sample the air around you as you move through the checkpoint. These are passive scanners, meaning they don't emit any radiation or require you to step into a machine. They are constantly analyzing microscopic particles in the air, looking for trace amounts of explosive compounds. The technology is known as trace detection, and it works like an invisible chemical detector. The sensors pull in air samples and run them through a process called spectral analysis in real time. They're programmed to flag the specific chemical signatures of everything from common explosives like TNT and C4 to the unstable compounds used in homemade bombs. This system operates completely in the background while you're busy taking off your shoes, pulling out your laptop, and emptying your pockets. You will never see it, hear it, or feel it. Major airports like Atlanta, Denver, LAX, and JFK have these systems fully integrated with their existing security infrastructure. The sensors feed data directly to TSA workstations, where agents monitor for any alerts. So, have you ever been randomly selected for additional screening? That secondary pat-down or the chemical swab of your hands and luggage might not have been so random after all. It's highly likely that the invisible scanners flagged trace chemicals on your clothing or your bags, triggering a silent alarm that only the TSA agents could see. This is a massive shift toward automated preventative threat detection that is completely invisible to the traveling public. On a similar note, artificial intelligence is now managing your airport experience. AI-powered cameras are tracking your every move through major airports, and again, you probably don't even notice them. These are not your standard security cameras. They are sophisticated surveillance systems designed to monitor crowd density, predict bottlenecks before they happen, and automatically adjust airport operations in real time. The system uses a combination of thermal imaging to count the number of people in a given area and visual cameras to track movement patterns. For example, if the AI detects that a crowd is building up near Gate A12, it can trigger an alert to airport staff. If it sees that the security lines in Terminal B are moving too slowly, it can automatically update the digital signs throughout the airport to steer arriving passengers toward less crowded checkpoints in Terminal C. This technology runs completely in the background while you're just trying to find your gate or grab a coffee. Denver, Atlanta, Phoenix, and Seattle are at the forefront of this AI rollout. The system is so advanced that it can even determine which specific security lane you get directed to based on real-time passenger flow data. A TSA agent might get a prompt on their screen telling them to open a new lane or direct a certain number of people to a different area, all based on the AI's recommendations. Now, the airports and TSA are quick to point out that these cameras are collecting anonymous movement data. They aren't trying to identify you personally. They're just tracking traffic patterns, where people walk, how long they wait, and which areas get congested. Still, it's an invisible system that is fundamentally changing your journey through the airport, making it feel either unusually smooth or sometimes strangely and deliberately rerouted. The slow death of the boarding pass is here, especially on international flights. Airlines are rapidly replacing paper tickets and even mobile QR codes with facial recognition technology that verifies your identity and boards you onto the plane in seconds. The process is simple. You walk up to the gate, look at a camera, and once you get a green light, you walk down the jet bridge. No fumbling with your phone, no handing anything to the agent. The first question everyone asks is, how does this work without seeing my passport? Well, the system is connected to government databases. When you check in for your international flight, the airline already has your passport details on file. At the gate, the camera captures a live image of your face and uses advanced facial recognition algorithms to match it against the official passport photo stored in those databases. It's a one-to-one verification that confirms you are the same person in your passport photo. Delta is using this extensively on flights to Europe and Asia, from its major hubs like Atlanta, JFK, and LAX. United is using facial boarding on key routes to London, Frankfurt, and Tokyo. And American Airlines is expanding the system at its international gates in Miami and Phoenix. While it started with international flights, the technology is already moving to domestic flights at select airports this year. But, just like the TSA facial scans, airlines don't always advertise that you can opt out. If you're not comfortable with this process, you can simply tell the gate agent you want to board using the traditional method. They will then scan your boarding pass and check your ID manually. It's your choice, but be prepared, because this technology is expanding to over 50 international gates by the end of 2025 and will soon become the default way we board our planes. Alright, after all those new rules and tech developments, here's a piece of genuinely good news. You might not have to go through security a second time on your international connections anymore. This game-changing policy, called One-Stop Security, is already rolling out at major airports worldwide, and it's a massive time saver. Here's how it works. Certain countries have signed agreements to recognize each other's airport security standards. This means that if you are screened at an approved airport for the first leg of your journey, that screening is considered valid at your connecting airport. You can stay in the sterile transit area during your layover and go directly from your arrival gate to your next departure gate without having to go through another full security check. This eliminates the most dreaded part of international travel, clearing security, sometimes multiple times, on a long-haul trip. Airports like Amsterdam's Schiphol, Frankfurt Airport in Germany, and Dubai International are leading this program, with connections to over 100 destinations. Airlines like KLM, Lufthansa, and Emirates are automatically enrolling eligible passengers when they book connecting flights through these hubs. Now, the requirements are strict. You cannot have checked bags that need to be rechecked. You cannot exit the secure transit area for any reason, and your connection time must usually fall within a 24-hour window. But if your itinerary qualifies, this can easily save you 2 to 3 hours on a complex international journey. It's a huge step forward in making global travel a little less painful. Get ready for your phone to become an essential customs tool, and for your travel budget to take a hit from a dozen new micro-fees. International travelers are increasingly getting blindsided by mandatory digital requirements and surprise fees that weren't there just 6 months ago. Countries are quietly rolling out mobile apps for customs declarations and tacking on processing charges that appear nowhere in your original ticket price. For instance, Australia now requires every traveler to complete a digital passenger declaration via a mobile app before they can even board their flight from their home country. If you don't do it, you're stuck filling out paper forms on arrival, which can delay your entry by hours. New Zealand now charges a $35 international visitor conservation and tourism levy, which is sneakily added during the online check-in process, not when you initially book your ticket. And as we mentioned, the UK's new ETA requires smartphone verification through their official app. And these digital systems aren't just for arriving passengers. Japan's Visit Japan web service requires you to pre-upload your customs forms and vaccination records before you even depart from your home country. If you miss this step, you can expect lengthy processing delays at immigration in Tokyo or Osaka. To make matters worse, airlines are now passing the administrative burden of these new government requirements onto you in the form of fees. Look out for line items called digital processing fees, or government compliance charges, of around $15 to $25 per ticket. These charges often appear on the final payment screen, not in the advertised fares. The lesson here is to do your homework before you fly. Download all required government apps, complete any digital forms at least 48 hours in advance, and budget for extra fees that weren't part of the initial ticket price. So, what does all this mean? Travel in 2025 and beyond isn't just about new rules. It's a complete technological rewiring of the entire experience. It's a shift toward automated, biometric, and digitally controlled systems that are designed for efficiency, but often at the cost of our privacy and our wallets. Your face is rapidly becoming your ID, your boarding pass, and your luggage tag all in one. Invisible scanners and AI systems are managing your journey in ways you'll never even see. And your smartphone is now just as important as your passport. The smartest travelers are no longer just the ones who are packed and punctual. The new smart traveler is digitally prepared and privacy-aware. They know which apps to download before they leave for the airport. They know when they have the right to opt out of a facial scan. And they know to look for hidden fees before they click Purchase. These changes are rolling out faster than most people realize. So if you want to stay ahead of the curve and make sure your next trip is a smooth one, be sure to subscribe for all the latest updates. Because in this new era of travel, what you know before you go is more important than ever.